Reddit. What outrage over a celebrity was way overblown. The dude, you're getting a Dell guy being a stoner. I mean, duh. I could see that from a mile away. Charlie Chaplin was labeled a communist and was told his re-entry to the United States would be subject to investigation into his political views. Charlie just decided never to come back to America. Once the documents became unsealed, it was revealed government officials had nothing on him despite publicly stating they did. Anytime an actor was blacklisted for speaking up about abuse in Hollywood. Turns out Harvey Weinstein is a rapist and covered it up for years. No doubt Feldman and Haim were victims of someone with as much power as he had. Michael Phelps ripping a bong. The majority of K-pop idols' issues and scandals whatsoever: smoking, dating, crying at a friend's funeral, etc. Howard Dean's scream. He was giving a talk to motivate his campaign workers. Roky Erickson, lead singer of the 13th Floor Elevators, got put in a psych ward for possessing a single joint of marijuana in 1969 Austin, Texas. He was subject to electroshock treatment in these facilities for 4 years. His mental state deteriorated greatly over this time frame. Based on the information that is out there, it's pretty safe to say that this incident drastically lowered his long-term quality of life. He was 22 years old when he was sent to the first facility. Janet Jackson's wardrobe malfunction. George Michael being asked by an undercover cop if he wants to see his thing. He said sure. So everyone found out he was gay, and that was a huge no-no. Gay meant pervert back then. Really sad, and he never recovered mentally. Pisses me off. Just wasn't fair. Paul Rubens masturbating in a porn theater in 1991. It was a porn theater and there was no reason for it to affect his career. David Bowie saying he was bisexual in an interview. It really ended up hurting his career in the US. Sinead O'Connor calling out the Catholic Church over the abuse of minors. How dare she? Britney Spears when she had her meltdowns. The woman was bullied and harassed at such an insane level. It would make anyone snap. Remember when Jessica Simpson wore that hideous outfit and every news outlet everywhere talked about how huge she was and how much weight she had gained, and she was like 105 pounds. Yet everyone was outraged that she was so huge, and not that these crazies were calling a 105 pounds woman huge. Obama's brown suit. The Chicks, formerly Dixie Chicks, and the whole thing with George W. Bush. When the female soccer player won and took off her shirt and had a sports bra under it. My God. You would have thought all of the world just witnessed their first look at a stomach. For those who remember it, Jessica Simpson being a totally healthy adult weight after having a baby compared to her tiny, teenage heavily controlled pop star weight. Names like Jumbo Jessica for a woman who was a size 4. And tying her entire worth to that. Elizabeth Olsen not tweeting or acknowledging it in social media after Chadwick Boseman died. That guy who didn't become president because he yelled "yeah." Monica Lewinsky America did her dirty. Eddie Murphy and the sex worker. Huge scandal at the time, but in retrospect, who cares? No doubt that Martha Stewart was accused of insider trading and put in prison. Yet every politician in Washington become millionaires from insider information. The amount she made was minuscule compared. Britney Spears accidentally flashed her vag getting out of a car once. She shaved her head and got in a fight with some paparazzi. This was evidently enough for the tabloids to convince the general public she was so batshit insane that she should lose her basic human rights and work as her father's slave for 13 years. Hugh Grant getting busted, pun intended, for hiring a prostitute for oral sex. I remember being a kid when this happened, and the scope that the media talked about it and how his mugshot was plastered all over TV and newspapers sounded like he was the absolute worst person alive. By today's standards, your co-worker probably runs an OnlyFans with her partner. The guy in the cubicle next to your co-worker probably unknowingly is subscribing to it. And Hugh Grant would just be viewed as a supporter of the hard-working sex worker. Monica Lewinsky. She was 22. Bill Clinton was 49. She was an intern. He was the President of the United States. When the woman she thought was her friend outed her, Clinton denied it and tried to gaslight the world. She was called every name in the book. And by some at that time, she was the most hated woman in America. He held the highest office in the nation, was married with a child. But the world was focused on what she did wrong. Absolutely fucking disgusting. He was the monster. Miley Cyrus choosing to go rated R NSFW years after starring in Hannah Montana. Aziz Ansari's bad date. The weird outrage 20 years later about Hilary Swank portraying Brandon Teena. Any female celeb who was shamed for existing. Anne Hathaway when paparazzi took and published an upskirt photo when she was exiting a car. Miley Cyrus for legally smoking salvia with her friends in her home. Or when a world-famous photographer took a photo that the media deemed whore-ish, despite it not being her idea and she was a kid and was covered. Britney Spears for being a human and not perfect, etc. The media is hard AF on women for just being human. The tan suit. TBH, most of them. Celebrities are not supposed to be role models but entertainers. Their job is to entertain, not be some sort of perfect humans without flaws. Janet Jackson's nip slip. Jenna Ortega taking a cigarette and drinking wine. John Lennon saying the Beatles were bigger than Jesus. People were angrier at Billie Eilish mouthing an anti-Asian slur from a Tyler the Creator song when she was 15, than actually being angry at Tyler the Creator for adding that slur into the song in the first place. Edit. I know this comment blew up, but any racist comments about black privilege will be immediately downvoted and reported. Obama having Dijon mustard on his sandwich. Also the time he wore a tan suit. Edit. You could also probably include Michelle Obama for showing her bare arms. Paul Rubens. I will never understand why Taylor Swift was so hated after Kanye claimed she lied about the phone call she didn't as well. I've seen a mural of her saying 1989-2016. People wanted her dead to pretend she died. It's insane. Even if Kanye was right, all she would have done was lie. Michael Phelps smoking weed. You'd think he killed somebody with the backlash that he got. LMAO. I always thought the public reaction outrage over Body Count's Cop Killer song was overblown and ridiculous. Even if Ice-T did eventually end up pulling the song from the album. The one I remember the most was when that picture of Justin Bieber smoking a joint or something got published in the media, and his young fans starting literally cutting themselves over it. Wild times. when The Rock didn't turned off his tap while brushing teeth.